r/ask Reddit. What's something that's heavily outdated but you love using anyway, assuming you could, in theory, replace that thing? iPod Classic 120 gigs. I've got about 7,000 songs uploaded and about 3,000 of those songs were uploaded from CDs that I've owned from with span of about 15 years. Got an iPod from about 12 years ago that still works. It's an amazing relic from a time when Apple made things that were built to last. It's such an amazing little machine. My iPod Touch 1st Gen still works. I found it buried in a drawer a few weeks ago. Changed it and it worked. I was shocked. Measuring spoons my mom gave me when I went to college. I'm 61 years old. I bet they're metal. I hate the plastic ones that are sold today. The numbers wear off and they seem to get sticky, which is gross. I'm sure there are fancy ones I could buy, but I miss my mom's measuring spoons. Pre-war Singer sewing machine. Got from a flea market. The only modern part is a small electric motor I installed on it. I'm also pretty sure that thing will survive atmospheric ray entry. Oh man, it must be beautiful. I still use the clock radio alarm that my mom got me in 8th grade because I kept sleeping in. I'm 37 and it's still the only alarm obnoxious enough to reliably wake me up. I'm 39 and realized this morning I've had my alarm clock since high school. Same here, and I'm 46. Paper sticky notes. I write thoughts down as they come to mind, and stick these things on the walls, on my car's dashboard, on the fridge, on my 6-year-old son, etc. As a business owner, I can confirm these are a godsend. I have sticky notes everywhere. Wait a few years and you can tell your son to remind you. I tell my 10-year-old to remind me of things and he reminds me every 15 minutes until I do the thing. Physical whiteboards. I don't care how slick Zoom's feature of the same name gets. It will never replace the convenience of whipping out a marker and sketching some ideas out freehand. It's practically the only way you properly brainstorm. We also can't put Robert Reich out of his retirement job as a professional YouTube whiteboard artist. As soon as I started my degree I got a whiteboard to do math and physics on and I'll never go back. I find I make way less mistakes than on paper because I can really space out my work. Alarm clock. I figure most people just use the alarm on their phone and set it next to their pillow, but I like having one across the room. I can just look up at night and see the time and I have to physically get up and turn the alarm off, so I never worry about oversleeping. An actual calendar planner. I don't know why I just don't feel like typing shit out on my smartphone. I'm just so used to decades of using planners to write down when I work, what I have to do, birthdays, vacations, events, etc. Trying to get Alexa to add an appointment for next week turns into a goddamn 2-minute interview. Turn on the concise mode if she talks too much. Headphones with wires. I don't want to have to charge every goddamn thing. The reason I use a mouse with wire, it works every day, no need change any batteries or charge, it just works. I have the exact same mindset on wired video game controllers. I've died too many times in the past because my battery went out at the wrong time. Gaming with a wireless mouse is very frustrating. Freezing, glitching at just the wrong moments. I stupidly went through 3 wireless mice before switching to a wired one. No problems since. Books. I just can't read on Kindles or my phone or anything. Same. Also I'm the type of reader that likes to go back several pages sometimes, just to maybe check a small detail mentioned earlier or something similar, so audiobooks wouldn't really be ideal either. This is why I still purchase actual textbooks. You can't flip through an ebook very well at all. It's terrible and takes too long and you lose your place. It's a hindrance. Same. Plus I just love the smell of books. Really makes the experience so much better for me for some reason. My Nintendo DS Lite. There's nothing wrong with the Switch, of course. People have used emulators to play the older Pokemon games, but it doesn't feel the same as holding the console. Same here. I could technically afford a Switch, but I just love the feeling of holding the DS in my hands, disconnected from the internet, and somehow feels like inner peace. I think you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't require the internet. There are too many things we use now that practically depend on the internet to some degree. The PS2 is pretty old now, but I still think it's brilliant. It had so many games, including one of my personal favorite PS2 games in The Simpsons Hit and Run. I would even go so far as to say that the PS2 is probably the best console ever made. The only one I can think of that can measure up is the SNES. It also had almost complete backwards compatibility with PS1 stuff, including the ability to read PS1 memory cards. So you could basically play any game from both the PS1 and PS2 eras on the PS2. Mechanical watch. It feels like a little piece of rebellion to have such an inherently outdated, but beautiful, technology with me constantly. I use and collect fountain pens since I was younger, 25 now. And I never enjoy using other writing utensils. Something about writing with fountain pens are so enjoyable for me that convenience doesn't matter. I went to grammar school in Germany and we used fountain pens. There is nothing like it. I got a D in penmanship regularly in school, and that was likely being charitable. If I had to use a fountain pen, I'm afraid my homework would have looked like a Rorschach test. Handwriting diaries. I find that my hand gets tired easily now though. Keep writing. Don't want your hand to get so easily tired. Not using a bread maker or mixer with a dough hook for bread. The most high-tech item I use is a spatula for the first bit, then it is all by hand. I love baking bread and I've done 2 batches a week for years now. The kneading part is very therapeutic. Hey, I love the feeling of it changing in my hands as the gluten develops, though I don't bake it anywhere near as often as you do. I love that feeling too. Like at that point where it stops sticking to the countertop at all, then starts to feel smooth, then it starts to feeling like it's pushing back when you need it. I love it so much. A physical calculator, especially the adding machine variety with big numbers that make clicking noises. A treadle sewing machine from the 50s. It's the most trustworthy thing I own and so simple in design it's easy to fix if something happens to it. Electric machines are too complicated for their own good. Alternatively, a belt-driven machine from the same era is basically a treadle machine with an electric motor. I recently bought one, and I'm fixing it up. I have very little mechanical acumen at all and I just completely rehabbed a 1950s Singer 15 clone after finding it rusty and frozen up on the side of a road on trash day. Best machine ever. Nintendo 64. Sadly mine died recently. I just want to play some Pilot Wings 64. The Wii. The Switch can never replace the feeling of the original with games. I'd go even further and argue that the Wii hasn't really been replaced. Me, wife, and 2 teenagers have been maxing out the Wii during the pandemic, and then 3 weeks ago we had a power spike and it stopped working after 15 years. Couldn't toss it right away, and then last week I plugged it into a different outlet and boom. Red light returned. Mario Party and Wii bowling game back on. Still love printing photos out, especially of my daughter. I want to hold on to them and treasure them for as long as I'm alive and one day look back on them with her. I want a standard car. I love driving standard, but I know the world is moving away from that. Electric cars don't even have gears. But damn, they're cool. If only they could make one a standard. Standard equals manual? If so, then 100% yes. Yep, way back when. Standard transmission meant manual since the first cars had manual transmissions. Automatic transmissions were a newfangled special feature. The old terminology has lingered. Snail mail. I know email and texts are quicker, and I still use those too, but nothing beats getting a letter in the mail. Downloading music into storage compared to streaming from apps or preloading songs on the app for offline streaming. Maps. Paper maps are amazing. I love analyzing them. They're like artwork to me. Every time I use MapQuest, Google Maps and the like, I get stressed out and feel so out of touch with where I'm going. Using a big Olay dictionary. There's something about opening a big book that creaks and crackles as you open it, searching for that word you're trying to define all the while seeing other definitions of words you didn't know. A cafetiere or French press. I know a coffee machine is far more practical, but I love the process. I love the whiff of coffee aroma when I open my coffee grounds pot. I love stirring it while it brews. I love pressing down the plunger. I even love draining the used grounds through a sieve. A morning's not begun till I've had my coffee fix. A typewriter. Not the cool looking old ones. They are horrible to write on. I'm talking about an electric typewriter from the 80s 90s that have a very computer-like keyboard, but you just stick a paper in it. I have one, and after working on 2 laptops, neither of which will sync with the office printer, maybe I'll just bring it in. Look into mechanical keyboards. I know they're not exactly the same, but you can get close. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.